Good day, everybody. Thanks for being with us on Hospitality Talks. It's fabulous to be back with you. Today, we're going to learn about luxury cruising. The concept of cruising, which is essentially, for lack of any better words, a floating city or a floating hotel, is very unique, even among the subsectors within hospitality and tourism industry. Until recently, cruises were the fastest growing sector of the travel industry. According to Cruise Lines International Association, the number of cruise ship passengers has nearly doubled in the last decade to 30 million and more than 150 billion in revenues in direct and indirect contribution. Unfortunately, after a tumultuous couple of years as a result of the pandemic, cruise lines again are setting sails, but with some caveats and changes. The industry faces a long road back to normal as the operators still have to contend with a patchwork of domestic and international rules, heightened environmental requirements, port infrastructure development, and of course, sourcing of skilled crew. I'm Abid Butt. Great to be here with you. And as always, I'm here with my co host, Sam Eric Rutman. Sam.
Thank you, Abid. Yeah, this is a very interesting discussion. I was just looking, coming home from the office today at what kind of advertising I saw here in Helsinki. We are, after all, having a -1 degree day and rainy, and there's advertisement about cruises, and I think people are very interested now to start to book again after this very challenging time. So this is cruises. It's about romance and having a chance to visit some very wonderful places. And so I think this is I'm very much looking forward to how now the industry is starting to pick up on the situation that was very, very challenging. But then I like to also ask all the live viewers, very warm welcome, and please leave any comments you have or any questions. We really appreciate that you join our discussion, and maybe we'd like to raise some questions or comment for our guest. So let's start the conversation.
Thank you, Sam. We are very fortunate to have with us today Roberto Martonoli, who's the President and Chief Executive Officer of SILVERSEA Cruises. He began his career with his family ship management and consulting business in a long time ago, but he joined SILVERSEA in 2016 and have seen the growth of this industry's leading ultra luxury cruise line. It's sails to over 900 destinations, far more than anybody else, and goes across all 7 continents. During Roberto's tenure, he also oversaw the acquisition of the organization by Royal Caribbean Group, initially two-thirds, and a complete acquisition as of June 2020. With the group's full support, he's currently overseeing a long-term plan to grow and enhance SILVERSEA's fleet of ultra-luxury ships, adding to the cruise line's fleet of nine luxury cruises. SILVERSEA is looking forward to the launch of 3 new vessels with, I believe, Silver Moon that has just been christened. 2 Evolution-class ships will be launched over the next couple of years, pushing the boundaries in ultra-luxury cruise segments. Roberto, thank you so much for being with us. It is truly an honor to have you join us. Welcome to Hospitality Talks.
Thank you very much, Abid and Sam, for having me with you today, and happy to share what's going on. And as you said, I mean, we are just about to face a very important growth. So the concern about the cruise business in general not continuing the dramatic growth, I mean, I think will be resolved very soon, because not only us, but many other operators are certainly looking to grow their fleets.
And that's Roberto. That's what I have understood. Cruising industry as one of possibly the only travel and tourism industry that even at the worst time in the pandemic, none of the orders for new ships were canceled. They might have been delayed a bit, but not a single order was canceled. Any thoughts on that? Which is fabulous that everybody feels very strongly about the potential of this industry. But any thoughts on that particular topic?
Well, sure. I think that it's a combination of different things. First of all, nobody knew that this pandemic situation would have been lasted for so long. And this has been an advantage, of course, because we all thought that was like a couple of months, 3 months thing, and then another 1 or 2 months, and then another 1 or 2 months. And here we are having restarted operation consistently and seriously, 16 to 18 months after. And so this has been helping avoiding cancellation of orders for sure. Besides the fact that the industry had already been shown incredible resilience in previous difficult situation, and ships are purpose built and custom built for a particular cruise line, a particular customer. So, and they are implying a big capital investment. So it's very difficult to stop it once you start it. So that has been probably another advantage that has been helping us to continue to build our ships even in very difficult moments.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic. So, Roberto, not to make you relive the past 18 months, because I know every organization went through some very tough times, would you mind taking a few moments just to give us a bit of an overview as to what it was like, how you had to attend to the pandemic issues that popped up all too quickly?
Yeah, well, it has been a serious challenge, of course, and I would say that the the biggest problem was to understand what was really going on, because we were facing something completely unknown. We didn't have any experience about it, and that applies to everybody, us as operators, the government, the regulators. I mean, whoever the people, the cluster of the industry. So we were all taken by something absolutely, you know, unknown to us, and we didn't have any previous experience of that, and that has been probably the biggest challenge that we had to face. The very beginning has been very demanding, because we had a couple of ships in South America that we had to stop operation and bring people back home. It has been most definitely a very heavy challenge on us and on the authorities and everything. Just to give you a sense of it, we had to bring back home a number of Australian passengers. We were in South America, and we were obliged to charter two 787 planes, just for 15 people each, to fly back to Sydney, Australia. So that was, I mean, something that we would never have expected to have to do, but that was the only way we could bring these people back home. Then, after we were able to resolve the issue with the passengers, and needless to say, that what you anticipated in terms of lack of communication between different governments, and we have to cross borders all the times by definition. So that was another very difficult situation to be faced, and then we had to take care of the crew, and the crew was another interesting, even more challenging situation, due to the fact that the governments were less how to say, open to accept any solution Nobody wanted to have anybody from anywhere else, and even the receiving countries at times were saying, "Oh, we don't want anybody to come back now. We don't know how to do it." So this lasted for a few weeks and has been quite demanding. And I have to thank the fact that we were part of a very large and powerful organization. So Royal Caribbean Group has given us great support, and they gave us also a lot of resources to help us resolving that. And then we went to the phase of being on an holding pattern. And as I said before, I mean, we were all. The good thing is that nobody realized how long it would have been, and we were going like from a couple of months, 3 months, 1 month, and it's going to be resolved. And when we add them all together, here we are, and we started the operation ourselves. Well, we did a small operation in 2 months operation in Saudi Arabia in 2020, August and September, and then the real restart with the typical business that we do was June this year.
Well, so throughout this time, all these changes that you had to implement, particularly dealing with multiple different governments in international waters and cross-border travel, well, thankfully, all that is behind us, and here we are. At this point, if I understand correctly, all of your ships are in operation and sailing at this juncture. Am I correct?
No, we are progressively going back into full service. So at the moment, out of 9 ships that we have in our fleet today, 5 have been operating so far. I mean, one stopped again at the end of the summer. So we have 4 ships that are operational. We will have 3 more that will go back, in November, and 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 the remaining 3, because we are adding a new one. So our new building was the Silver Moon, was just Christian in Greece recently, but was delivered during the pandemic. Similarly, we had another delivery, the Silver Origin, that is in Galapagos during the pandemic. And we have now the delivery of the Silver Dawn upcoming on November 12th in Ancona, Italy, that will be the 10th ship in the fleet to join us. And we expect to have, like I said, 7 ships by November, and spring of next year, all the 10 ships are planned to be back into service.
Well, terrific. Well, congratulations on the new ships in addition to your fleet. I'm sure that it would be fantastic, and your client base would enjoy them a great deal. Roberto, if you wouldn't mind talking a little bit about the new protocols, the new initiatives that you've had to implement to gain consumer confidence. Unfortunately, at the beginning of the pandemic, nobody knew how to handle this thing. We were all sort of attending to it by the seat of our pants, and a lot of the news that came out was relatively damaging to the cruising industry. But since then, talk a bit about the new initiatives that you have implemented to gain consumer confidence.
Yeah, okay. I think that the first thing I would like to say is that things have changed a great deal, and there was a negative perception about cruising caused by, at the very beginning of the pandemic, there were a couple of situations that were caused on cruise ships, and obviously, whatever happens on a cruise ships. It's more evident than anywhere else because of the time that you spend on board in an environment, and that is, like more than the incubation period of, this virus. So while if you were getting the virus elsewhere, you may not have had the precise idea on where. When it happens on the ship, it is more evident, but it's nothing different. I think that consumer confidence has been gained by showing that when we knew what it was and we knew what to do, we've been restarting operation in different steps, starting in summer of 2020, occasionally in some places like Europe. I mean, there was some ship that was operating. We did Saudi Arabia. Then during the winter, there was continuous operation. And the numbers are very impressive because the protocols that we all put in place are about testing when you are joining the vessel, about, in some cases, like for us, we require people to be fully vaccinated. Uh, and again, in our particular case, if the cruise is longer than 10 days, we test the people when they are coming to the ship before they boarding. We have a mid-cruise test, and then we offer a test at the end of the cruise that in many cases is necessary for people to fly back home. So those are the type of things that we did, and to different, in very slightly different ways. But I think that we all approach it in a, kind of approximately the same type of precaution, and this has revealed to be extremely effective to the point that we've been carrying now probably close to 1 million people, and the number of cases have been very, very low. And particularly, there has not been, or very hardly, or very rarely been, any spreading of the virus on board. So even when you find someone, and it happens, because also with vaccinated and tested people, every now and then a case is coming out. I mean, all of the preventative measures are allowing us to, to give, the best condition, the best health and safe condition to our guests, to make sure that there is no transmission or very, very little transmission, if anything at all. And the whole perception of the cruise industry is completely changed. And I wouldn't be shy to say that if I have to be in a public environment, I would want to be on a cruise ship because of the way that we can control the environment, because of the tools that we have available, and because of the experience that we had for many years about health and safety on board. And so we were already trained for that, and we know what to do. We have hospitals on board, we have doctors, we have nurses, we have testing machines, we have all of that. So I don't think that there is any other public environment that is so, I would say, under control as it is on the cruise ships, and the numbers are speaking loud and clear.
Well, that's terrific. If I remember reading it correctly, I think your future bookings are absolutely showing very healthy trends. Is that the case for SilverSea as well?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that in general, I would say not only for the cruise industry, which is good. I mean, because we want to be part of a larger group. Pent up demand, the demand for future vacation is definitely strong everywhere. I mean, there is with no exception. So for cruising, of course, as well. And the further you go in time, the stronger the demand is. Because, of course, I mean, in the short term, there is a little more volatility. And, and this very much depends on what news are coming out. We've been seeing, a lot of demand that has been a little bit softened by the Delta variant. And then as the Delta variant has started going away, the demand has come back up to very, very strong levels. But again, it's not only the cruise industry, is everybody in the travel and leisure business has seen that, which is a very good thing. The other thing that I can say, which is I think interesting, is observing is that at the beginning of this crisis, of course, we carry, by definition, because of the nature of our business, we carry people that are on average a little bit demographic that is a little bit older and more affluent. And the concern was that being an older demographic and given the non-exposure to the exposure or risk, of the infections that were considered to be more serious for people of an older age, there was concern about older people not to be so keen to go back. And I have to say that it has been exactly the contrary. So people in older age group has been the first one to start booking, and they continue to be so. And even before vaccines were available, because of course people of an older age group were the first to be vaccinated, but even before then, they were, more ready and open to travel than other age group. That's an interesting thing. But I would say that today this is all resolved. Protocols are in place, and there is indeed obvious interest, and people cannot wait to go back and enjoy their vacation time. And again, I think that cruising is a very good way of going back to vacationing, reducing the risks as much as possible.
I totally agree. The great news for the travel and tourism industry is that there is absolutely a pent up demand, and at the end of the day, it is innate in human beings to want to experience different things, new destinations. So it's great to hear that that's coming up. Roberto, I will turn it over to Sam, but before I do that, just a quick question regarding the profile of your client base. You said they tend to be a bit mature, more affluent. Obviously, the positioning of SilverSea as a luxury cruise liner. Tell us, what have you seen change over the past maybe a decade? Are the demographics changing?
Um,
Are people looking for new things? Would you shed some light on that?
Well, I have to say that even though we've been growing already significantly, and we will continue to grow, to a greater extent, all in all, we did not have that many changes in the clientele that we serve. So we do probably have attract a little more from the two ends, and we continue to serve the middle age group. So the average age continues to be almost even, I would say, even though we have people that are becoming more mature, and younger people that are joining earlier. Most certainly, there are destinations that are attracting different demographics. So we tend to have like more family or younger people in destination like Alaska, Galapagos, Mediterranean. Those are the typical destination where you have more of family and younger generation. Galapagos is a great product for families, and also, younger people love it, and there is to do for everybody, and so is Alaska again, and Mediterranean by definition, depending on the season, also attracts that. And then, of course, we have all of the other destinations that are, as you mentioned rightly so before, we have like we serve more than 900 destinations at any given time for the next couple of years, and very very varied and very remote destination. And they might attract, of course they do attract a little different crowd. We have the work cruise that is a 4 month cruise that is definitely very much in the in the eye of our most loyal guests that love to spend like long amounts of time on board. And so these people, they do the 4 months work cruise, and then they might come back for another grand voyage, which is like a sort of a 1 month or something like that. And to give you a sense of the loyalty, the company exists since 25 years about, and we have people that have spent on board more than 7 of the last 25 years. So this
Wow.
is, people are incredibly loyal, and they are very passionate about the business, and they know the business better than us because they are there more than anybody else. So, and I'm joining the work cruise every year to, at the end of the work cruise, to greet them and to thank them for their loyalty. And I need to put my act together because it's again, they do really know what we are doing. They know the crew better than I do. They know the ships better than I do. So very interesting, and it's great to work for these individuals, for this crowd. They are very passionate, and they really give us great motivation to continue doing what we are doing and continue to improve the product. And
Well,
needless to say that, we interpret luxury in a little different way. We want to say that we whisper luxury, and we want to make sure that we give people memorable experiences. It's a lot more about experiences and immerse our passenger into the destination. And this is helping a great deal, and we are having a very positive feedback on that.
well, congratulations on the loyalty that you have built. The more mature and affluent clientele, particularly if they've been coming back for such a long time, I'm sure they can be very demanding. But congratulations to you and your teams for living up to their expectations, for that matter, exceeding the expectations and constantly having them come back. Roberto, let me turn it over to Sam, and I'll be back with you in a moment. Sam.
Thank you.
Excellent.
You mentioned you are covering 900 destinations. Was that the correct number?
Yes, this is
Yeah.
correct. Yes.
So, what are some areas which you haven't gone yet, so that you're planning of going? Because there must be some places that I just wonder, because 900 is quite a bit.
I'm not sure there are that many places where we don't go. There is some, of course. The interesting places we probably do them all, and so we go from Antarctica, because Antarctica, of course, is an expedition product that is very peculiar. Although we also had the work cruise going through Antarctica, because our clients of the work cruise, and actually they enjoyed it big time. So we're very lucky. They got like 4 or 5 incredible days of beautiful weather, and they've been able to explore this remote continent with great creature comfort, which is what we offer also on our other expedition product. So we of course there are countries that are more difficult, countries that we try to do anything we can. We do Papua New Guinea, for quite some time. We've been doing Bangladesh. So we are adding every year some new destination of those that are viable. And actually, when we look into product development, we do scouting of new destination. Yeah, there are parts of the world. We are thinking of going to Antarctica from New Zealand, which is something that was in our plan. It was like kind of delayed by the pandemic. And then one way or another, we've been going, actually maybe not for significant length of times, but we've gone almost through everywhere, except for the countries that are not receiving cruise ships, or where we don't consider yet safe to go. But we are continuing to do our scouting, and we've also been adding some sort of shore experiences. So like we call it the couture collection, some land voyages to add to the cruises. So we were offering Mongolia by helicopter, or Antarctica by private plane, these type of things. To go and look at the chimpanzee in Uganda. Those are the things that we add, because not only do we go to the sea destination, but we also offer land trips, when you go to certain parts of the world that are extremely interesting, and then can be added to your cruise destination as well.
That's very exciting. This is something quite new to me, to understand that you're adding these very different itineraries that have a chance to see the chimpanzees in Uganda, etc. So that's does it mean then that there is the travelers who join your cruises who are interested in this, is that a younger crowd by any chance, or is it something that now the clientele that you already had for years, who are just want to expand their interest into this part of their travel journey?
Well, actually, not necessarily. It's attracting younger people. I would say that it's as I said before. We are we are getting, we all live longer these days, and hopefully will continue to be so. I mean, although the pandemic has been giving us some challenge on that, but I mean, so we are supposed to be living longer. So we have people that are staying with us longer, and we attract also some younger generation, but not necessarily on this type of product. I mean, the adventurous and remote destination, you need also to have time and money to do it, of course, because I mean, not only do you need to have the money, but also the time. So, and this by definition attracts, people of maybe older generation, because not only they can afford it, but they also can afford the time. That is a very precious luxury to be profiting of.
Yes.
So, yeah, I would say that all in all, I mean, we continue to be more concentrated on the same age group uh, because of that, I would say.
So I think this is pretty much what Abid and I could bring our wives to enjoy nice cruise.
Yeah, I'll be happy to be with you guys, because you
Thank you.
are certainly.
Yeah. We have one of our viewers, and Angelo Balbi says, I do believe that luxury and boutique cruising will be the future, and also because of the service and the space offered on board. That's his comment.
Yeah. Well, of course, these days to have space and service and is an advantage. There is no question about that. With that said, I think that also the big ship where there is a lot of people, they do have the right tools to manage it. But the feeling of a smaller vessel that has more volume available per person that you carry is definitely a very positive thing these days. And also the destination that you visit are less crowded. When you go to to Antarctica, you don't meet anybody. I mean, it's the deserted continent that you go to. So the risks of being in a crowded environment when you get there in a bubble, because everybody is vaccinated, fully vaccinated and tested, I mean, your exposure to that type of risk is certainly less important, and it gives people definitely a good feeling these days.
Yes.
Sure.
My final question is now in Finland we just rolled out this what we call the Corona Pass, for lack of a better word. Is that something that you also require, that the passenger should verify and show that they have been vaccinated twice, or etc.?
100%. You need to be fully vaccinated according to the WHO rules and regulations. And I must say with satisfaction that we've seen good progress recently. The CDC and the US are now accepting any WHO vaccine and any combination of those. That was a challenge until recently, because mixed vaccines that are very common in Europe and Canada and some other places, India maybe, I mean, this has been opening us a lot of, opportunities, I mean, to get more people. So indeed, you need to have your proof of vaccination, full vaccination, and not only that, you need also to get tested on board in the vessel. We do test people in the terminal, because people are coming from, a trip by air, car, whatever, train. So we want to make sure that we do a proper screening at the beginning, and again, we depending on the length of cruise and in the country that we are operating in, we might also do a mid-cruise test and an end-of-cruise test.
Thank you very much, Roberto. And then back to you, Abid.
Thank you. Roberto, tell us a bit about what you see coming down the pike, new trends in cruising, particularly in luxury cruising. Do you see things evolve? You've been working on new initiatives, but what's hot today from luxury cruising point of view, and what do you see coming down the pike?
Yeah, well, I would say that first of all, probably the thing that has been, more um, in the eye of everybody has been ultra luxury expedition. I mean, expedition is a product that is gaining more and more awareness, and there is significant demand on expedition products. I mean, the Arctic, Antarctica, Kimberley Islands, Russian Far East, Africa, you name it. So there are many destinations that are, the expedition destination, that, and they are doing very well. there has been also an important increase in capacity in that segment, with many ships being built, which is good because in cruising, always increasing capacity did not mean much, but the ability to increase demand. Because of course, we are relatively small compared to the worldwide, travel and leisure business, and the fact that we become more and more known, there are more and more activities, helps increase in demand. So most definitely, expedition has been a great focus on the ultra luxury segment of the business. In addition to that, what we do, we want to make sure again that we go back to what we said before. Um, we all have a very good product. We provide excellent service, and I think that everybody does a great job at that. There is with no exception. So then, when you start to want to differentiate, you need to decide what you want to do. And the way we took was the way of concentrating more on experiential travel and on concentrating on destination. To do that, I think that a good example is what we recently launched on Silver Moon, is our new culinary program called Salt, which is sea and land taste, and that is all about the destination that we visit. So we were cruising this summer with the Silver Moon in Greece, and in one restaurant, which is the Salt restaurant, we were serving food not only local, but really local in terms of the recipe of the islands that we were visiting that day were offered in the dining room there. And then we have a bar that is dedicated to the same type of experience. So we were serving, like cocktails, drinks, beers, wines at the location. We had in our wine list 60 Greek wines, and I have to say that I came back and I bought Greek wines. I never did it before because I never had a chance to taste it. So it's a great opportunity, and people really love it. And then we have the Salt Lab, which is where we show to the guest, and it's a kind of it's a kind of a cooking school. It's not meant to be a school. It's just people, they are given the ingredients and they cook a particular recipe, and we go into all the details of where the ingredients are coming from, why are they using that way, and what they are. And this is great fun for our guests that they've really enjoyed it, and they are learning something about the local culture, which is extremely important. So this is where we are concentrating ourselves, making sure to give authentic experiences about the destination that we visit, because this is the people want. In addition to that, another very important thing is besides the perfecting the service that you provide to your guests, which is something that you can always do better. Is how do you serve them? What is in which way do our crew approach the guest? And we are very fortunate because we have an incredible crew, and we are trying to learn and understand. We will never disclose the secret. Why are they so good in serving our guests, and they are getting so close to them? And we're not sure we have the entire recipe. We have some of it, but not the whole of it. But it's probably a cultural matter that developed into the company in so many years, and it's another great thing. And we are very fortunate to have an incredible crew that is. There are guests that one of those guests that have like 1,000 or 2,000 days. Sometimes they call and say, "I want to go where Roberto, the bartender, is." They don't care about itinerary or anything else, but they want to be again in touch with these people. And some people, they are coming on board, and they hardly ever step ashore because they love to be on board, they love to be in that environment, and they love us, which is great.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Growing up, my introduction to cruising was through a TV show, pop culture American TV show called Love Boat. And
Of
and
course.
you see the show, and crew makes it so simple to take care of the guests, but I'm sure there is a lot of things going on in the background. But that's ever since then, cruising has been on my bucket list. And after the conversation today, maybe our next conversation should be on board one of your ships.
I
So,
promise we will not disappoint you, Abid.
oh, I'm 100% certain of that. Roberto, let's shift gears a little bit and talk about somewhat of a controversial issue where cruising industry has been under the microscope, and it's relative to sustainability. Now, before we go there, and I hope it's okay, I just read hot off the press that you have announced a new ship that is going to be launched in a couple of years that would be powered through hybrid power, and it would reduce the greenhouse gas emission by 40%. So, first of all, congratulations. I believe you're the first cruise liner to take that initiative and launch that. But let's talk a bit about the sustainability, and there is a huge emphasis on making sure that we, as travel and tourism industry, reduce our carbon footprint. Your thoughts, please.
Yeah, first of all, I would like to say that we all have to go back and be more diligent in communicating about sustainability because I think we could have done a lot more of that. People don't know, but the cruise industry has done a great deal in moving forward with very interesting and successful initiatives. And I don't think that there has been the right understanding of that. And I think that we have to take responsibility in saying that we could have been more forthcoming and making sure that this is a message that needs to be added to any conversation that we have, and which is now happening now these days. I mean, particularly in the last, I would say year or so, there has been even a further acceleration with that, and it is a very important topic that we don't have to forget about. And so the communication is paramount because we are doing a number of incredible things, and they are not known to the general public. They are difficult to be communicated. Again, the cruise industry is kind of a sexy industry that is, very much in the focus of many people. We are very visible, so we attract a lot of attention, and so we need to communicate accordingly. What you said is right. We just announced today that we are the first multi-hybrid vessel that is delivered. And the most important thing I would say that besides having a ship that will be, burning LNG as a main fuel, but it will also have batteries and particularly a fuel cell to be able to operate in port on fuel cell alone. So this is a big step forward because fuel cell capacity to produce energy was never getting to that point. So we'll be probably the first vessel to have this ability to operate on fuel cell during port operations, so without getting any other energy from outside. But there is a lot more to it. We have been developing a lot of technologies and in many areas, not only on air emissions, but also water treatment systems, waste management, the way that we have increased energy efficiency by redesigning ship's hull, by rethinking of new ways of painting the hull to make them more sleek and being able to, go through water with less friction. Procedures that during the building, the construction and design process that guarantee that you don't lose any opportunity to save any amount of energy. And commitments also, not only by law but also voluntary commitment to comply with very difficult regulations. So, to give you a sense of it, in some places we are required to treat our wastewater to a level that is almost identical to the requirement for drinking water shoreside. So we are really, and the other important point is that anything you do on a ship is kind of, in a controlled environment. You need to have law books, you need to register anything. You can't do anything without, reporting what you do. and which is great. I mean, we've been getting a great education. This is helping us to be, become even better because there are no excuses. Everything is recorded, everything is set. There is a large number of regulations. So we are also, I mean, with our group, we are invested in a wind farm in Kansas. I mean, that offsets, like, if I remember well, 12% of our, like carbon emissions. I mean, incredible things that the general public, they are not aware. And we have all now started to be more open about it, more forthcoming. I mean, we are going to be a lot more communicating those things that are extremely important. And by the way, it is in our own interest because we live out of the destination that we visit. So we are the first ones that have a vested interest in making sure the destination are kept in the best possible way because this is our bread and butter every day.
Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing that news first and foremost during this conversation. I think that is a fabulous initiative. And not only that the consumers are looking for it, to your point, it is the right thing to do and it is in the best interest of the
Yeah.
organizations in our crews that we all adopt that. Roberto, talk a little
Um,
bit about,
Sorry,
please.
just wanted to add one important thing that not only this is important for our guests, for the destination, for ourselves, but in the world that we are living today, is going to be extremely difficult for people that do not have this as a number one priority to raise money for the expansion of their business. Because also, bankers and lenders and people, that are making their money available to all of us to like continue the expansion of our business are looking into it very carefully, and they will not be giving money to people that don't have this as a top priority.
Very well said. And I think it is for all the right reasons that we've got to be able to protect our planet. There is only one planet as we know it today. So we got to be able to protect it so that we can enjoy it for generations to come. Technological initiatives and changes in cruising world that are being brought about with new technologies. I'm sure from sustainability point of view, you just talked about a few, but from a consumer facing issues, anything that you are looking at or you have implemented that is making the customer experience better.
Um, sure. I mean, there is a continuous evolution, and I like that word because our new class of ship is called the evolution class, and so it speaks by itself. So, I mean, to give you, and that ship is the one that was part of the press release that you mentioned before, that was launched today by Royal Caribbean Group and us, and so there are indeed developments that are quite important. You will see that ships of the future will have a different type of structure, and I can't say too much about it because we are going to be doing a big launch in November about this evolution vessel. So I'm sorry, but I have to ask you to stay tuned, and I'll be happy to share all the information of the launching when it goes out. But there will be features that will make cruising more, I would say, interesting, comfortable, and exciting. Although in our segment we are not much about wow factors because our clients, they stay on board for a long time, so they want to have a very large and comfortable cabin. They want to have great service, great dining experiences, a lot of space available. They are not looking for the rock climbing wall or these type of things that is more part of a contemporary market. But we have definitely improved. And like I said, sustainability is the number one priority for sure in terms of technology development. But there will be more, and I will be happy to share it mid-November when we will be announcing all of the interesting feature of our Evolution class of ships.
Well, thank you for that. We look forward to it. We look forward to learning the new initiatives that you're implementing. Sam, we are approaching the hour. We still have a few minutes, but just to pace ourselves, if there is anything else, please stop me. As you know, I can continue to talk for a very long time, but please stop me if there are some comments that are coming up, or if you have anything else that you would like to add, Sam.
Well, we have several live viewers, and I would like to encourage the live viewers to leave either just say where you're viewing from, or just a comment, and or just encouragement, because we have Roberto Martonoli, who is really giving us lots of interesting information, and I have learned during this hour so quite a bit. So please join me to say something about how you're enjoying this. But yeah, I really liked what you were saying about the sustainability part, but also now how the people's interest are on experiential travel is a thing that hoteliers are looking at, and how they can provide this part. So that's not the question. I just want to congratulate you what you're doing, because it's something I wasn't aware of. I was as kind of a average person who hasn't been on a nice cruise, to see that these are what you can offer. So very nicely done, and maybe I can just give it back to Abid for any final question.
Terrific. Roberto, talk a bit about the staffing challenges, finding the talent, particularly after the pandemic. The workforce has changed dramatically. Are you experiencing the same thing? I know you have a global labor pool that you draw from, but how has that evolved? Are you still able to attract the right caliber to be able to deliver the services that you need to deliver for your clientele?
Yeah, well, I would say that there are two aspects of it. Um, the shipboard part and the shore side. Um, Shipboard actually has been maybe a little bit easier. So the job market for our cruise shipboard has given us the right support, and we are not yet at full capacity, but we are getting close to it, and we've been able to find so far the right people. We not only do we have loyal guests, but we also have a very loyal crew. Also because they need to be a little different. For our product, these people are not moving too much. In fact, we don't have much turnover, not as much as other segment of this industry. So on the shipboard side, has been so far, and again, we need to make sure that we get to the end when we are, manning the entire fleet. We've been doing well. We've been doing well. Shore side, it has been a little more challenging, and I think this is common to all of us, because with this, 18 months of interruption, many people have changed their habits, they've changed the way they live. They're not much more into going back. To some people, they don't want to go back to the life that they were living before. So it has been a little more challenging. Maybe we've seen definitely proportionally more turnover shore side that we have seen shipboard. But again, we've been, because of the 18 months time, we've been, we had enough, time available, so to say, to prepare ourselves for that. And so we've been dealing with that. So, but definitely, I see a little more challenges shore side that we have seen shipboard.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Roberto, obviously there is massive consumer confidence for this sector of travel and tourism. Investors are doubling down on it. Tell us some of the concerns that you see for cruising industry long term and possibly midterm.
Well, let's start from a short and mid-term. Of course, it's happening, but it could happen. I'm hoping to see more acceleration on that. This pandemic will leave some protocols and procedures in place, and I think it's fair, it's right. I mean, the big problem is to make sure that there is coordination on those. Again, because when you are going across borders, I mean, it's really very complicated. It's improving now, but we are still far from an ideal situation. So, and I think that this applies to many other things because consistency also helps industry to develop in a faster and better ways because people are all investing in the same direction and it's more efficient. So that's, I would say that with a shorter view, it's very important. In the longer term, I think that probably sustainability and working with the destination to make sure that do all of the right things to continue development and coordinating better and syncing better the activities that we all do with the destination and sustainability in general are going to be a top priority for us. And if we succeed at that, we'll be very successful. I think that this industry has shown to be extremely resilient, has shown incredible rate of growth. We have an opportunity to continue to grow, big numbers, and we just need to make sure that in that we take care of those collateral problems that are not collateral; they are fundamental.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Roberto, the last question before we close the show. A takeaway, one takeaway, if you would, for the industry professionals that might want to join cruising industry, and also from a consumer perspective, looking at cruises. Any words of wisdom, first and foremost, from industry professionals that want to join cruising industry?
It's a great business. I think that it gives you the opportunity to learn horizontally so many different things. I mean, you go from operation, marketing, sales, finance, and it's a global business as well. So the wealth of knowledge that resides in cruising, I mean, would prepare you for any other experience in your future. So I think it's something that I would definitely like to see added to any curricula that you go through because it's very, very horizontal. It gives you a great sense of business that you can apply to many other businesses. So, and it's great fun because I mean to work in an environment where you give fun and memorable experiences to people. It's very rewarding. So not during the pandemic period, but once the pandemic is over, it's great rewarding. So it's
Fantastic.
Great fun. Yeah.
So from a consumer perspective, anything that you can talk about from a consumer's lens, something that a consumer can take away about cruising industry, but particularly luxury cruising?
Well, I would say that we want to send a message to people that are new to cruising because people that are in cruising, they are very loyal. They'll come back. They know everything about it. I don't need to add anything. For those that have not been having this experience, you should try because it's first of all for any segment of the market, whether it is ultra luxury or contemporary, it's great value for the money that you invest in it, and it is an experience that it's not comparable to any other similar experience. And the advantage that we have is that we keep people captive for a certain amount of time. We know what people's habits are. They stay in this environment that it's very helpful for us to organize for them an incredible experience. And I've been going through it so many times. The perception in certain people that have not been able to try it is, maybe it's regimental, too many people. It's not like that, not even in a 6,000 people vessel. I mean, these products are incredibly well designed and are giving so much back to the guest that just try it and you will not be disappointed. You will come back. When you get people in, they will not get out after that.
Well, look, it's certainly for personally speaking, it's moved up lot of places on my bucket list. It's already been there, but after this conversation, it's moved up at the beginning. Roberto Martinelli, President and CEO of SilverSea, it's truly been an honor to have you with us. Thanks for spending the time, and thanks for all your insights. Sam.
Yes, from my part, I'd like to also thank the live viewers. We had Angelo Balbi and Martina Viviani who joined us today, so thank you very much to you for Martina said, hi there, watching from Italy. Thank you very much. So she clearly enjoys. So this has been a very interesting discussion. I also have learned a great deal about the cruise business, and truly, if I would have to make a choice in my younger days, where would I work? I think this could have been maybe one of the strongest candidates where I would have been ending up in my career. So very, very nice about that. So, and Martina says again, very interesting. Thank you so much. So she's also appreciated of about our discussion. So if you watching this episode later on as a replay viewer, I'd like to thank you already in advance that you took the time to join us, and please leave us with your comment, and also if you enjoy this kind of episodes that we are producing, then please subscribe. But if you are also enjoying a podcast, this episode and all our sessions are be featured as a podcast on Hospitality Talks. So we will welcome you to join on our podcasts also. So with these few words, just thank you very much, Roberto, for joining us today. It has been a great honor, and we look forward to seeing you one of these days on one of your ships.
Yeah, and thank you guys for having me. It has been my great honor to be with you, and it was great conversation, and I really look forward to welcome you on board one of our ships anytime soon. You and anyone that is viewing this, it will be a great pleasure for us. Thank you very much again.
Thank you.
Thanks.